Namaste, this is Maya Tiwari with episode 16 of Woman's Power to Heal Mother Earth. In this episode, I'm going to do the meditation of ghee. Now we all know what ghee is. In my last episode, we talked about the Goshala and the care of cows in India. Ayurveda informs that ghee is the golden elixir of life. When prepared and imbibed in the spirit of a meditation, ghee helps us to elevate consciousness, strengthens the body's ojas, which is our primordial immunological force, reduces fatigue and stress, and allow the body to let go of toxicity that may be fastened into the tissues. There's a lot of controversy about cow's milk. But as I have addressed before, and in one of my first books called Ayurveda, A Life of Balance, which I wrote in 1986, we talked about the egregious crimes against animal farming and the cow in particular, especially in the United States and Britain. Understand that we must not throw out the baby with the bathwater. There is also a great deal of scientific controversy about milk being food for human beings, even when it is organic milk taken from the cow after it had fed its calf. And that period of feeding was over. And the excess milk was used by humanity in so many ways because it is medicine, because it is an elixir of life that was given by the peaceful creature which in India we call the mother cow, the sacred cow. But for us, all animals are sacred. In my book, I talked about the meditation of ghee and the various phases that it goes through with the natural sounds of the 5 elements. I have not gleaned that from any part of the Vedas, but I have no doubt that somewhere in the annals of our primeval history of the Vedas, this has occurred. To me, it occurred through a meditation, almost a dream state, where after I began making ghee and listening to the sounds, it became more exemplified through this meditation, through a revelation as it were, where I saw a group of monks in orange sitting around in a circle, and in the center was a pot of ghee. And I recognize it to be ghee because I actually smelled the ghee in my meditation. And they did the making of this ghee in complete silence. And I was able to tune in to the various transformations, the various passages through which the butter turns into the golden elixir of ghee. And it is that meditation of ghee that I have taught in Wizard Ayurveda school since 1981. Now it is time in this junctional passage, challenging passage, where we're experiencing the agents of very complex viruses. Once more, I would like us to turn our attention to what ghee really is. Putting aside all of the controversies about cow's dairy milk, but not denying that animal farming and animal husbandry in our countries, especially the Western countries, have been barbarous and horrific at best. We shan't deny that, and we must change that. I've been a voice for change in animal farming and agriculture and farming in particular since the late 70s, and in my written works, the early 80s and 90s, and the 21st century as well. But I don't want to take our time in this meditation with unfolding that which I will continue to unfold in future episodes. Let me just introduce you to the Vedic understanding of milk. It is called in the Rig Vedas the most complete food on earth for humans. Other religious scriptures have mentioned milk as sacred food for human beings, including the Old Testament, where it is said that the land is flowing with milk and honey. The cow, as the giver of milk, is considered one of the most auspicious animals on earth. In Sanskrit, we refer to her as Go, that which bears the name of Lord Krishna, who is also called Gopala, the Lord who protects both the sacred scriptures and the knowledge of sacred food on earth. Milk is said in the Vedas to be the first and most complete food, and traditionally collected after the delivery of the cow's calf so that it could properly be digested by the human system. From this salubrious food comes butter, buttermilk, yogurt, and of course ghee. Milk has been the most widely but not wisely used through the ages, and much of the criticism, deservedly so, is on the condition of what has become of milk, and of late scientific presentations of milk not being a food for the human digestive system. But that is not only extremely debatable, it flies in the face of every ancient native wisdom there is. If we were to go with science, we would say the entire Europe was totally misguided, the entire Vedas was misguided, and more than 2/3 of the population of the world, which are milk-drinking ancestors and cultures, have been misguided. And I seriously doubt that science has the veracity, the knowledge, or the integrity to tell us that. As a Shakahari, which is what we call vegetarianism in India, Shakahara is one who practices vegetarianism. We're never oblivious to the pain of animals, and we do condemn the cruelty waged against all life forms, especially our animals, and of course Mother Nature at large. But sacrificing milk as a food does not address or solve the egregious crimes against the well-being of our animals, and especially of our cows. We must restore the conditions in which cows are cared for. Why not emulate India's goshalas, which we have had for centuries and centuries, and restore local conscious community farming where the cow is cared for, the calf is cared for, the milk is cared for, and what is left after the cow has fed its calf and its calf has been weaned off nursing. That comes to us as humans. In boycotting the use of milk, we are adding to the punishment of the cows, but Again, that will be in another future episode. Imagine putting the butter in a wonderful pot, stainless steel or copper, over low heat and melting it. In the first transition, we hear the silence of the butter. Immediately, the aroma from this unsalted, pure, natural, organic butter becomes the atmosphere that floods the environs around you. Fatigue and stress begins to leave the body. Some inexplicable sense of well-being takes over. And now we begin to feel the light bubbling of the butter. And even with our eyes closed, all of a sudden, the elements take over. The elements take over. The silence begin to emulate the sound of the rain. And this exquisite element of water moistens our own taste, our own sense of taste, as the ghee boils and the sound of rain happens in its first transition. We sit and bask in the sound. The ghee is bubbling. Sometimes vigorously, sometimes mildly. We're using medium-low heat to boil the ghee. It is now melting into that golden elixir, and it's beginning to foam on the top, and all of the golden liquid below it is covered now, cosseted by the warmth of the foam. Suddenly, it eases the sound of rain. Again, she quietens. she becomes silent again as she passes her first transition of the ghee making. And then I begin to hear the foam dropping to the bottom of the pot. Making these incredible plopping sounds. You could barely hear, like plopping of water falling on the surface of a lake. Silence as she enters yet another transition. A quietened moment. Suddenly, there is the undertone of an ocean, almost like swimming in the quiet below the waves and hearing the waves above your body. It's almost a gurgling sound. The mystery of the cow, the mystery of her food, the mystery of milk, the effervescent white crystal purity of milk having been transformed through the 6 processes in the stomach of a cow, from grass to this divine food. Now she explores her own mystery as she gurgles to the bottom. All of the foam dropping, dropping, dropping slowly, precisely to the bottom. And she becomes clear, entirely clear. The elixir. We open our eyes, and there is the purity of the golden liquid, the soma, the most exquisite medicine as food. Thank you. Thank you for being with me in the meditation of ghee. May we all try it as a meditation. Many recipes are there in my books, but it is not just a recipe. It is a way of transforming the mind from the external ojas of the ghee just penetrating through the globals and environs of our mind. The feast, of course, is imbibing a little bit of the ghee afterwards. Thank you. Peace. Peace be your journey.